And here we go. All right. Welcome back to the Doctor's Den. Most bottlenecks for founders and small business owners don't come from the market or the product or even the team. They come from the founder, the business owner, from you, from me. We try to lead, manage, sell, hire, plan, and execute all at once. And we become the bottleneck. I'd like you to riddle me this. I have 1,000 moving parts, yet nothing moves without me. I grow when others grow, but shrink when I control. What am I? Hey there. I'm Dr. David Leitner. And if you are a founder or small business owner feeling stuck, I know where you're at. It's like you're working in the business more than on it, and you're not alone. Scaling isn't about doing more. It's about doing differently. So let's talk about what might really be holding you back. Think about it. If every major decision, every system, every point of contact with a client still runs through you, you haven't built a business. That's not scalable. That's exhausting. You've built a web with you in the middle of it. And I get it. I've done that too. In fact, a few years ago, I was running my consulting business and I needed to be attached to everything. I needed to approve every proposal. I needed to be attached to every part of every workshop. I needed to manage my own calendar and everything that everything that we did. And I think my clients were happy. At least that's what I heard. But I was getting worn out, like burned out, and nothing moved unless I touched it. I wasn't leading the business. If anything, I was playing gatekeeper to growth. And just like a spider stuck in its own web, I built something pretty strong. But I'd actually found myself trapped in that same web. And the good news is that we can also be the breakthrough point. We just need to find a way to step out of the center. So let's break this down, because these bottlenecks don't always shout. Very often they whisper. They show up in the day-to-day grind, and they disguise themselves as, oh, this is normal. But once you see them, you cannot unsee them. So let's start with the decision bottlenecks. Everything, but everything runs through you. You're on vacation, back-to-back meetings, and progress halts. You feel essential. But let's be honest, you're in the way. And what started out as leadership changed into management and then into gatekeeping. And the team is just waiting on you. Sometimes silently. Business slows down. And it's just one Slack or WhatsApp or email at a time that doesn't get answered by you. And that creates a pattern when you can't hand things off, because most of them live in your head. Most of those processes live in your head. And that's the second bottleneck, is process chaos. You train new people by showing them what you do on the fly without documentation. You don't create repeatable systems. Delegation is completely a gamble. There's no strategy involved. And you find yourself saying, it's faster if I just do this myself. And every time you say that, you reinforce your position at the center, and you delay your capacity to scale. But even with systems, that's not enough. People need clarity about what they own, what they're going to be held responsible for. And that's where role confusion creeps in. When you have misaligned roles, everyone's wearing too many hats, or the wrong hats, wrong person, wrong seat. and that can include you. When roles are unclear, accountability disappears, results suffer. A marketing manager is doing sales follow-up, and you're doing finance and 17 other things at once, and all the lines are getting blurred. And when everything is everyone's job, it becomes no one's responsibility. And then we try to solve these issues by pumping in more leads or by taking over. But that doesn't fix the real problem. It leads to revenue confusion, which is another bottleneck where you feel like you have to start chasing leads and you have to work on visibility, but because it's all in your head and you're not actually tracking, revenue, profits, capacity, conversions, you might think you have a sales problem, but maybe it's in fulfillment or in pricing, or maybe it's about how the process is taking place for your client and what they're feeling as they go through the process of onboarding, of growth and development that you're helping them do. Growth isn't about volume, it's about value. And if you are essentially scaling broken systems, you're just accelerating the pain. And here's the thing, bottlenecks don't announce themselves with alarms. They creep in through routine, the quiet pauses between decisions, the hesitation to delegate, the way every task somehow has to loop back to us. And it all feels necessary until it doesn't. And one of the most clarifying things you can do for yourself is to ask, what would break if I stepped away for a week? And I'm not talking theoretically, literally. What would stop working? Who would get stuck? Which clients would notice? That single question turns the invisible into the undeniable. It exposes the points where you've become the glue and where you need to become the architect instead. And sometimes the thing that breaks first is us, not the systems, not the teams, not the revenue, us. Because even with the right pieces in place, if we can't let go, if we're still gripping onto that wheel with white knuckles, we end up becoming the very thing we are trying to outgrow. And that is the perfectionist's bottleneck. It's the voice in your head that says, no one else can do this right. Sometimes it's subtle, but it is so powerful. You find yourself tweaking an email or just rechecking the numbers or holding on to some task that you know you could let go of. And perfectionism, it isn't about high standards. We think it is. It's not. It's about fear. It's the fear of losing control, of someone else messing up your reputation or the company's reputation, or the discomfort that comes from really needing to trust other people. But here's the truth. Perfectionism doesn't scale. It keeps you safe and stuck until you learn to trust your team, to do well enough. You'll always be beaten down by perfectly done by you. And these bottlenecks, they're often invisible until you slow down and map them out. One of the most powerful exercises you can do is an audit, a strategic audit of your leadership. And then you can take it one step further. Who else can you empower to keep things moving when you're not there? Here's my challenge to you. Find one area this week where you're acting as the bottleneck. Just one. Then choose. Are you going to document it? Create a full-on process for it that's very clear. Delegate it or delete it. And if you can't document it, then you should figure out why. Because the documentation allows you to delegate. But start there. Because momentum doesn't come from managing everything. It comes from freeing the path ahead. Okay? So you've spotted the bottlenecks. You face that hard truth that some of it, perhaps a lot of it, starts with you. That's not failure. That's power. Because once you see these friction points, you can do something about them. The next step is building the foundation that allows your business to run and grow without grinding you down. Scaling isn't magic. It's mechanics. It's about designing your business with intention so that it supports you instead of consuming you. So here's what I would suggest. If you really want to scale, focus on 3 things. Clarity. Define your role. What are the things that only you can do? That's your high leverage zone. Everything else, document, delegate, or delete. 2, capacity. Build systems that can run without you, processes, SOPs, automations, and train others to think strategically. What is our purpose? Where are we going? Not just to act as task robots, but real trusted operators, people who can be strategic partners. And last but not least, create a culture that isn't just execution oriented. It's focused on thinking, owning, and growing. That means feedback loops, shared purpose, psychological safety, a place where people feel trusted. Because when that happens, they start to own their own outcomes. And that's amazing. Here's the thing. Scaling back isn't about stepping back from your business. It's about stepping into the true role you're meant to have in your business. One that leads through strategy, not control. So if you feel stuck, it doesn't mean you're doing something wrong. It usually means you're doing too much right and too much yourself. So riddle me this. I have 1,000 moving parts, yet nothing moves without me. I grow when others grow, but I shrink when I try to control. What am I? And the answer is a founder or small business owner stuck in this bottleneck. And this riddle isn't just a clever lead-in. It's a mirror that we need to have in front of ourselves. Think about the complexity you manage daily, often without pause. There are 1,000 moving parts in your life. But nothing moves without you? That's how we become the point of failure, by staying at this center point where everything has to come through us. And true scaling comes when we allow other people to grow and we empower our team. I will grow when others grow. It's not about expanding my tasks or expanding my team. It's about empowering my team, helping them to grow into their roles. And I shrink when I try to control. Come on, that brings it home. When we try to do it all, we don't expand. We stall. This riddle threads through the heart of almost every bottleneck we've unpacked and every bottleneck you will find in business. And it reveals something about the core of the problem and the potential that we have. It all sits with the same person, with us. So this is your challenge and your opportunity. Reimagine your role. Ask, what do I want this business to look like without me at the center of everything? What kind of team do I want to build? What systems will free me and allow this baby of mine to grow? So before I sign off, does anyone have any questions? All right. In the next video, we'll dive into how you identify your real role in a growing business. Because the bottleneck doesn't need to break you, but it can shape the next level of your growth. Now, if you want to get reminders about these events and learn more about how to scale, you can sign up for my newsletter, The Riddler. I just put a link down below, and you can find that link there. You can find that link down below. I'm Dr. D. Thanks for spending time with me today. This is how we scale smarter. See you next time.